The massive warship drifted through the void, its black hull reflecting nothing but darkness. Captain Vorn of the Galactic Council stood on his bridge, studying the ancient star charts. His forearms moved across the holographic display, zooming in on a small blue planet in a forgotten corner of the galaxy. Earth, he said, his voice carrying across the silent bridge. 2,000 years ago, they vanished. No signals, no ships, nothing. His lieutenant, a reptilian creature named Crix, stepped forward. The Council says they destroyed themselves. Nuclear war, climate collapse, the usual primitive ending. Vorn nodded slowly. The galaxy had seen it countless times. Young species discovering atomic power before wisdom, burning bright and fast like dying stars. Earth had shown promise once. Their radio signals had reached the stars. Their primitive rockets had touched their moon. Then silence. Set course for the Sol system, Vorn commanded. The Council wants confirmation. A plan to colonize the planet if it's truly dead. The journey took 3 cycles. As they approached Earth's system, the sensors detected nothing. No radio waves, no energy signatures, no signs of technology. The planet sat quiet in space, blue and green and beautiful, wrapped in white clouds. Life signs are strong, Crix reported, confusion in his voice. The ecosystem thrives, but no technology, no cities visible from orbit. They descended through Earth's atmosphere. The ship's scanners searched for ruins of the old civilization. New York, London, Tokyo, the great cities mentioned in the ancient records. They found forests where cities should stand. Rivers ran clean and wild. Animals roamed freely across vast plains. Perhaps they really did destroy themselves completely, Vorn said. Nature has reclaimed everything. But something felt wrong. The forests looked too perfect, too organized. The rivers followed paths that seemed almost designed. Even the clouds moved in patterns that felt deliberate. On the 3rd day of observation, Vorn noticed it first. A mountain that hadn't been there before. It was subtle. The ship's computer hadn't flagged it because it looked completely natural. But Vorn had studied the geographical surveys from 2,000 years ago. That mountain is new, he said quietly. Crix checked the data. Impossible. Mountains take millions of years to form. Unless someone built it. They scanned deeper. Beneath the surface, beneath the soil and rock, they found traces. Structures that bent their sensors, materials that shouldn't exist, energy patterns that made no sense. Earth wasn't dead. It was hiding. Captain, Crix's voice shook. I'm detecting something massive beneath the Pacific Ocean. It's moving. The ocean began to part. Water fell away like curtains, held back by invisible forces. From the depths rose a city, but not like any city the galaxy had seen. It was grown rather than built, its buildings flowing like living metal, its streets pulsing with light that seemed alive. More cities emerged. From mountains, from deserts, from ice caps. Each one different. Each one impossible. The technology wasn't just advanced. It was something entirely new. The humans hadn't destroyed themselves. They had evolved, transformed, become something beyond the galaxy's understanding. A figure appeared on their view screen. Human in shape, but somehow more. Eyes that held depths of knowledge, skin that seemed to shimmer with contained energy. When it spoke, the words came not through technology, but directly into their minds. Hello, Captain Vorn. We've been waiting. Vorn struggled to speak. You've been here all along? We never left. We simply chose to grow inward rather than outward. While the galaxy fought over stars, we learned to master atoms. While you built bigger ships, we rebuilt ourselves. Why reveal yourselves now? The human smiled. Because you came in peace, seeking knowledge. Had you come as conquerors, you would have found only an empty world. Earth protects itself now. We protect ourselves. The bridge fell silent. The implications crashed over Vorn like a wave. Earth hadn't fallen behind. It had leaped so far ahead that the rest of the galaxy couldn't even recognize its technology. The Council must know, Vorn whispered. They will. Earth is ready to rejoin the stars. But this time, on our terms. The cities continued to rise, and with them, humanity's true power revealed itself to the galaxy. Asterisk. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so quiet. 500 species, representatives from every corner of civilized space, sat in stunned silence as Captain Vorn's report played on the central display. The footage showed Earth's cities rising from hidden depths. Technology that defied their understanding. Humans who had become something more than biological beings. High Chancellor Theta, an ancient being of pure energy, pulsed with troubled light. This changes everything. We marked Earth as extinct, a failed species. Now they return with power we cannot measure. Ambassador Drac, representing the warrior clans of the Outer Rim, slammed his fist on his platform. They hid from us. For 2,000 years, they let us believe they were dead. This is deception. Or survival, countered Elder Moss, her plant-like form rustling with thought. We have destroyed younger species for less advancement than what Earth now shows. Perhaps they were wise to hide. The debate raged for hours. Some called for immediate military action to strike before Earth could threaten the established order. Others urged caution, recognizing that any species capable of hiding an entire civilization might have defenses beyond their comprehension. Meanwhile, on Earth, the human leadership gathered in a chamber that existed partially outside normal space. President Maria stood at the center, her form shifting between solid and energy as she spoke. They fear us, she said simply. As we expected. General Tong nodded, his augmented mind processing millions of scenarios per second. Our scouts report fleet movements. The warrior clans are mobilizing. The merchants are calculating profit and loss. The scientists want to study us. And we will let them come, Maria replied. It's time for the demonstration. Back in the council chamber, alarms suddenly screamed. Every display showed the same impossible sight. Earth ships appearing simultaneously in orbit around every major council world. Not arriving, not traveling, simply existing where they hadn't been moments before. The ships were beautiful and terrible. They looked grown rather than built, their hulls shifting and adapting like living things. Each one was small, no bigger than a transport, but the energy readings were off every scale. A message played across every screen, every mind in the chamber. Maria's voice, calm and clear. Members of the Galactic Council, we are humanity. We return not as conquerors, but as neighbors. These ships are not threats, but messengers. We have placed them here to show you a simple truth. The galaxy has changed while we grew quiet. The old ways of conquest and domination are obsolete. High Chancellor Theta found his voice. What do you want? To exist. To grow. To share, if you are willing. Each ship carries gifts, solutions to problems that plague your worlds. Cures for diseases you call incurable. Energy sources that never deplete. Technologies that can transform barren worlds into gardens. And the price? Ambassador Drac growled. No price, only a promise. That the strong will no longer prey upon the weak. That new species will be protected, not exploited. That knowledge will be shared, not hoarded. The council erupted in chaos. Some species saw opportunity, others saw threat. The merchants calculated the collapse of their monopolies if free energy became available. The warriors saw their purpose vanishing if war became impossible. Elder Moss raised her branches for silence. You could enforce this peace? You have such power? The human ships pulsed once, together. Every weapon in the council chamber, every warship in orbit, every defensive system on every world simply ... stopped. Not damaged, not destroyed, just temporarily dormant. Then, just as quickly, they reactivated. We prefer not to enforce, Maria's voice continued. We prefer to inspire. Those who wish to learn, to grow, to evolve, Earth's doors are open. Those who wish to continue the old ways, you are free to do so. But not here, not near us, and not to those under our protection. The youngest member of the council, Representative Alex from the newly discovered world of Haven, stood. His species had joined only 50 years ago, still considered children by galactic standards. I wish to learn, he said simply. Others began to stand. Not all, not even most, but enough. The scientists, the explorers, the dreamers. They stood for Earth, for change, for evolution. High Chancellor Theta watched the chamber divide. The galaxy would never be the same. Earth's silence had ended, and with it, the old order began to crack. So it begins, he pulsed softly, the true test of our civilization. The human ships remained in orbit, patient and powerful, waiting for the galaxy's choice. Asterisk. Representative Alex stood in Earth's primary reception center, his young mind struggling to process what he saw. The walls weren't walls. They were spaces that existed between moments. The floor supported him not through solidity, but through localized gravity fields that adjusted to his every step. Other representatives from 30 different species stood nearby, equally amazed. Welcome to Earth, said their guide. A human named John, who appeared to be both 20 and 200 years old simultaneously. Before we begin, you must understand what you're about to learn will change you. Not just your knowledge, but your very existence. Do you consent? Alex nodded eagerly. The others showed agreement in their various ways. Clicks, flashes of light, chemical signals. They had come seeking Earth's secrets. They were ready for anything, or so they thought. John led them to a simple room with chairs that adjusted to each species' form. The first lesson is about perspective. Your civilizations measure progress by expansion. More planets, bigger ships, stronger weapons. We measured progress differently. He waved his hand, and the room filled with holographic displays. While you reached for the stars, we reached for the quantum realm. While you built megastructures, we learned to manipulate fundamental forces. Observe. John picked up what looked like a simple stone from a table. As the representatives watched, he compressed it between his fingers. But instead of crumbling, it became denser, smaller, until it vanished entirely. Then he opened his hand, and a flower grew from his palm, using matter converted from the stone. Matter is just energy in a different form, John explained. Energy is just information, structured differently. And information is everything. An insectoid representative named Zek raised a claw. This is impossible. The energy required for such conversion would be enormous. By your methods, yes, John smiled. But you use force. We use harmony. Let me show you. The room transformed. They were suddenly standing in space, stars all around them, but still breathing, still warm. Alex realized they hadn't moved. Space had been brought to them, or perhaps they existed in multiple places simultaneously. Your ships push through space, John continued. Our ships convince space to be somewhere else. Your weapons destroy. Our defenses make violence irrelevant. Watch. He produced what looked like a weapon, handed it to Ambassador Drac, who had insisted on attending despite his skepticism. Try to harm me. Drac fired without hesitation. The energy beam stopped inches from John. not blocked, but simply choosing not to continue. The energy transformed into light butterflies that dispersed harmlessly. "We don't fight energy," John explained. "We redirect its purpose." This is what 2,000 years of hidden development achieved. Not bigger weapons, but the obsolescence of weapons. Back in the council chamber, panic was spreading. The warrior species were mobilizing, convinced that Earth planned to impose its will on the galaxy. High Chancellor Theta watched the fleet movements with growing concern. "They gather for war," Elder Moss observed. "Against an enemy they cannot fight," Theta replied. "This will end badly." On Earth, Maria stood before a gathering of human leaders. The war fleet's approach. 300 species, 2 million ships. They call it the greatest armada in galactic history. "Our response?" asked General Tom. "Education," Maria smiled. "Prepare the Aurora Protocol." When the combined war fleet arrived at Earth's system, they expected resistance, shields, weapons. They found Earth exactly as Vorn had first seen it. Quiet, peaceful, defended by nothing visible. Admiral Krall, commanding the fleet from his dreadnought, laughed. "They're so confident, they don't even raise shields. All weapons, prepare to fire." "Sir," his tactical officer interrupted. "We're getting a signal from Earth." Maria appeared on every screen in every ship. "Welcome to our system. You've come for war. We offer you a choice instead. Fire your weapons and learn why we don't fear them. Or accept our invitation to witness something beautiful." Krall snarled. "All ships fire." 2 million ships fired simultaneously. Beams, projectiles, antimatter weapons, enough firepower to crack planets. The weapons reached Earth's atmosphere and became aurora lights, painting the sky in brilliant colors. The planet converted every joule of destructive energy into art that the fleet fell silent. Then Earth responded, not with weapons, but with change. Every ship in the fleet began to evolve. Their hull plates became more efficient, their engines more powerful, their weapons transformed into tools of creation. Earth was upgrading them, improving them, gifting them with advancement. "Stop!" Krall shouted, but there was no stopping it. Maria's voice was gentle. "You cannot defeat us because we are not your enemy. We are your future, if you choose it." Asterisk, the transformed warships hung in space around Earth, their crews struggling to understand what had happened. Admiral Krall's dreadnought, once a symbol of military might, now pulsed with systems he didn't recognize. The weapons had become something else, tools that could reshape matter, create instead of destroy. "Status report," Krall demanded, his voice shaking. "Sir," his engineer responded, awe in his voice. "Our power output has increased by 3,000%. Our hull can now repair itself. Our engines. Sir, we could reach the galaxy's edge in days, not years." On Earth, the representatives in John's teaching group felt the shift. The very air hummed with change. Alex watched his own hands beginning to glow faintly, patterns of light dancing under his skin. "What's happening to us?" he asked. "Evolution," John replied simply. "Not forced, but offered. Your DNA is being given options it never had before. You can refuse the change, remain as you are. Or you can accept and become more." Some representatives stepped back, afraid. But Alex stepped forward, along with a handful of others. "I accept." The change wasn't painful. It was like waking up from a dream, suddenly seeing colors that had always existed but never been visible. Alex felt his mind expanding, touching concepts that would have been impossible moments before. He understood now. Humanity hadn't just advanced their technology. They had advanced themselves. In the council chamber, chaos reigned. Half the member species demanded Earth be declared a threat to galactic stability. The other half wanted to embrace the changes. High Chancellor Theta called for order, but his energy form flickered with uncertainty. Then Earth did something unexpected. They opened their world completely. Every sensor, every scan, every observation device in the galaxy could now see into Earth fully. No secrets, no shields, no hidden depths. What they saw changed everything. Earth's population wasn't billions anymore. It was one. Every human was connected, not through technology, but through evolved consciousness. They shared thoughts, knowledge, experiences, while maintaining individuality. Death had become a choice rather than an inevitability. Suffering existed only as a teacher, never as a punishment. The cities weren't cities, but living ecosystems where technology and nature had merged completely. The oceans were conscious, the forests thought, the mountains dreamed. Earth itself had become aware. President Maria appeared before the council in person this time, not through transmission, but by simply existing in their chamber while also remaining on Earth. "This is what we offer," she said, her form shifting between states of matter. Not conquest, but transformation. Not domination, but liberation from the limitations you've accepted as natural. "And if we refuse?" High Chancellor Theta asked. "Then you continue as you are. We will not interfere. But neither will we allow you to interfere with those who choose differently." Ambassador Drax stood, his warrior's pride warring with wonder. "You could force this on us. Why don't you?" "Because forced evolution isn't evolution. It's manipulation. True growth must be chosen." The young Representative Alex appeared beside Maria, transported instantly from Earth, but he was changed. His simple form now contained complexities that bent light around him. When he spoke, his voice carried harmonics that touched minds directly. "I've seen what we could become," Alex said to the council. "Not human, but not limited to our birth forms either. They don't want to make us like them. They want to help us become the best version of ourselves." Elder Moss rustled her leaves thoughtfully. "And the cost?" "The old ways," Maria replied. "War, exploitation, artificial scarcity. These concepts become obsolete when every being can create what they need from quantum foam. When death is optional, when the universe itself becomes your playground rather than your prison." The council fell silent. The choice before them was monumental. Accept Earth's gifts and change forever, or reject them and risk being left behind as the galaxy evolved without them. "Admiral," Kroll's voice crackled over the communication system. "My fleet awaits orders, Council. But I must tell you, my crew is beginning to choose. Some are accepting the changes. They're becoming something ... beautiful." High Chancellor Theta looked at the divided council, at Earth's patient representatives, at the future being offered. "We must vote. Each species must choose for itself. Those who accept Earth's path, rise. Those who prefer the current way, remain seated." One by one, representatives began to rise. First the young species, then the scientists, then the explorers. Even some warriors stood, recognizing strength in evolution over conquest. The galaxy held its breath as the count was taken. Asterisk. 1 year had passed since the vote. The galaxy had split, not through war, but through choice. 40% of species had accepted Earth's offer, beginning their transformation. The rest maintained the old ways, watching with a mixture of fear and fascination as their neighbors evolved. Alex stood on the observation deck of New Haven, his homeworld's first transformed city. His people had been among the first to embrace the change. Where once buildings of metal and glass stood, now structures of living crystal grew, each one conscious and responsive to inhabitants' needs. The hungry were fed by matter conversion, the sick healed by medical nanites that existed in the very air. "No poverty, no war, no unnecessary death," he said to his companion, the former Admiral Kroll, who had surprised everyone by choosing transformation. My world suffered for centuries under the old system. Now we thrive. Krull, his warrior form now capable of shifting between physical and energy states, nodded slowly. My people called this weakness, but I've never felt stronger. When you can create rather than destroy, when you can build worlds instead of conquering them, that is true power. Earth had become the galaxy's teacher, but not its ruler. Humans worked alongside transformed species, sharing knowledge freely. They showed how to harvest energy from black holes without destroying them, how to communicate instantly across any distance through quantum entanglement, how to preserve consciousness beyond biological death. But the untransformed species were not abandoned. Earth maintained careful boundaries, ensuring that those who chose the old ways could continue without interference. Trade still occurred, diplomacy continued, but now there were two distinct civilizations sharing the same galaxy. In the council chamber, a new meeting was called. High Chancellor Theta, who had chosen not to transform, presided over a mixed gathering. The evolved species appeared in various forms, some pure energy, others shifting between states, all radiantly different from their original forms. We gathered to discuss the Andromeda situation, Theta announced. Long-range sensors had detected a massive fleet approaching from the Andromeda galaxy. Millions of ships, clearly militaristic, heading straight for the Milky Way. Their transmissions spoke of conquest, of claiming new territory, of subjugating lesser species. The old response would be to prepare for war, Elder Moss said, her plant form now intertwined with living metal, having chosen partial transformation. But Earth has shown us another way. Maria appeared, not just her image, but her actual presence, though she remained on Earth as well. We propose a welcome. Show them what they could become before they choose conflict. Some untransformed species protested. They'll see it as weakness. Will they? John materialized beside Maria. When their weapons become flowers? When their ships evolve beyond their understanding? When we offer them infinity instead of conflict? The debate was shorter this time. The transformed species had the power to decide, but they chose consensus, respecting even the fears of the untransformed. When the Andromeda fleet arrived, they found something impossible. The entire outer edge of the Milky Way had become a garden in space. Planets hung like fruits, connected by streams of light. Ships that were also forests drifted peacefully. Stars had been arranged to spell out "welcome" in the mathematical language that all advanced species understood. The Andromeda commander, Supreme Warlord Vex, stood on his bridge in confusion. Where are the defenses? Where is the resistance? His answer came as Earth's gift reached his fleet. Just as with Krull's armada, the weapons transformed, the ships evolved, the crews were offered choice. But this time, the transformed species added their own gifts. Each gave what they had learned in their year of evolution. Vex watched his ultimate weapon, a planet-killer torpedo, become a seed that sprouted into a small moon covered in crystalline forests. His warriors looked at their hands as they began to glow with potential. "We are the Milky Way," came a collective voice from thousands of species, transformed and traditional, speaking as one. "We are what you could become. War is obsolete here. Choose growth or choose to leave. There is no third option." Some of the Andromeda fleet fled immediately, terrified. Others attacked and watched their violence become art. But many, so many, chose to stay and learn. Vex himself, the great warlord who had conquered 100 systems, looked at the transformation beginning in his own form. For the first time in his long life, he felt something beyond the need to dominate. "I choose growth," he said, his voice breaking with emotion he'd never allowed himself to feel. Earth's 2,000 years of silence had ended not with conquest, but with invitation. The stars themselves were no longer distant points of light, but doorways to infinite possibility. Humanity had returned, and with their return, the very meaning of civilization had changed. The galaxy would never be the same. It had become something far better. Epilogue. Captain Vorn stood on Earth's transformed surface, his body now a harmony of his original form and evolved capabilities. The planet that had seemed dead 2 years ago now pulsed with life beyond imagination. "You were the key," Maria said, standing beside him. "Your peaceful approach, your curiosity instead of fear, it told us the galaxy was ready." "Ready for what?" Vorn asked. "For the next step. This galaxy is just the beginning. There are infinite universes, infinite possibilities. Humanity's silence is over. And now we all speak together." Above them, the stars sang with the voices of 1,000,000 species, evolved and evolving, reaching out to touch infinity itself. Earth's comeback hadn't shattered the stars. It had taught them to dance. Asterisk.